Morning all. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's just stop now, actually. There's a low grumbling noise. It's not my stomach. I'm having windows drilled out downstairs. This will be the last day of disruption for building works, I can assure you. How's everybody doing? If you hear a load of banging and crashing, that's what it is, okay? So, yeah, sorry about that. Can't really do anything about the noise at the moment. Finally, we'll have the bits and pieces of the noise finished today, hopefully, though. So, okay, how's everyone going? All good days yesterday, hopefully. Some good positions on the NAS. Banked 6.5% in the end yesterday on the NAS and the S&P. Nothing much moved on Forex, though. The Forex positions I've got are still just gone nowhere. Nothing's gone anywhere. The only thing that's gone somewhere is Euro Swiss. So we'll have a look at all these in a minute. But I've got a position on the NAS. I've just put a little stop loss on this one because I've got two positions a little bit too close together. But we'll have a look. Start off by having a look at what happened yesterday. So let me just go to a bigger time frame so we can see. So the initial position building I started on the NAS was up here. We obviously had 2 days of consolidation and a down day yesterday. So yesterday I scaled out a little bit of some of my NAS, reduced some position sizing down slightly, did a bit of drawdown control. As we pushed down yesterday in London and in New York, took a load of positions off when we pushed back up at the end of New York, as you saw yesterday if you're in the Telegram group. So nice positions on the NAS. S&P as well. Did a bit of scaling out on some of the earlier positions, just knocked these back down to 0.1s, and then obviously used all the profit from yesterday's positions to pay those off. So good day overall yesterday. The nice thing about the NAS and the S&P is you bank daily when you're scaling in. Obviously it gets a bit slower, the profit, when it's actually going up, because obviously you're not scaling in as much. But yeah, pretty good day. So I've still got 5 positions on each. I'm going to get out of one of these positions because I'm over leveraged on it. But okay. So that's where we are with those. Obviously, look at the candle from yesterday. We had a beautiful bullish hammer go in. Today, there's a good possibility of a pullback. So you can see I've got buy limit set. If we did do 100% pullback on that, which is very unlikely, I'll get in down there. But I've got one around 50% of the move, just over. So that's where I'm going to get into an extra position. That is basically at this flag, basically there. So this is the volume that came in to push back up again. So if we're going to pull back, that's where I would expect to pull back to. If you want to look at other levels on it, obviously you could stick a fib on yesterday's move. This is obviously assuming we're going to go higher. There is no guarantee we're going to go higher. But that's around about 38 to 50 retracement, somewhere in there. So if we get down to there, which would be nice, if we can pull down to there in London, it'd be absolutely perfect. And then rally back out in New York this afternoon. So S&P wise, obviously looking at this on the daily, we're down below the 72 for the third time. That's just a tap and run really, but we're down again. So we're in a kind of range we've got into on the NASDAQ, which we don't usually do. So we're expecting a new rally to start. S&P 72 bounce. This is exactly what I kind of said was going to happen, was that. So that's what I'm expecting. We'll see what happens today, though. Obviously, I've got a buy position in profit on that one. If we pull back down, just need to move my buy limit up and challenge the lows of yesterday. I'll get into another additional down there. But yeah, it's looking heavy, the S&P and the NAS. But, you know, it does look heavy from time to time, and then it looks incredibly strong. So that's what it does. So buying down here is exactly what I want to be doing. Other pairs that I'm in at the moment, I've got Aussie dollar CAD. First long position on that one. Decent H4 extension. This buy zone here is what we were looking for the pop on. We haven't had the pop yet. So still waiting on that one. CAD Swiss, I have short on. Again, this area here potentially is where we're going to hit some selling pressure if this continues to go. I mean, this is massively exhausted and embedded. We've had no profit take whatsoever, so we're going to get some kind of pullback on that. So first position on that one was taken yesterday. Euro Swiss I'll have a look at in a second. Euro New Zealand, stuck. This thing's just a nightmare at the minute. It's just completely stuck. We are up at the highs. We've got massive rejection wicks in at the moment up here. This candle here is the candle that has been in control for the entire time. We are still in control with that candle. We've got 3 solid wicks to the upside. We put in a wick to the upside today. This thing looks like it's doing that. When it gets down to there, we'll see what happens. But most likely move is if it doesn't get propped up, there is a drop. So we'll look at the news in a minute. We've got Lagarde speaking this morning, which could affect that. So. And pound New Zealand I've got short on as well. Normally I don't take a euro and a pound New Zealand short at the same time. I have done in this case, but massively embedded on the daily. H4 we've been embedded for ages. So this is an unusual situation we've got on this pair at the moment. Typically when you go into a balance area or a consolidation or accumulation, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing, sideways movement, you tend to see the RSI drop. Yeah. So the RSI tends to take a drop and reset back to the mean. At the moment, we're not. So this is indicative of buying pressure staying in the pair, which is kind of a little bit of a divergence. But I think what we should be seeing on this one is a sharp move back down to gather up momentum for potentially the next move up. But as I say, at the moment, the COT report, you can't really draw any bias from COT at the minute because everything is negative. So there's no real directional bias on anything unless you're trading it against the US dollar at the moment. So again, it's a difficult one to call from a directional bias. And when there's no real directional bias, I rely on the RSI to tell me when we are getting exhausted and starting pullbacks. Whether it's going to continue that way, who knows? Or whether it's going to do that, don't care. As long as it reverts. As long as there's mean reversion, I'll make money. So I don't really care which way it goes. If it wants to push up higher, it's going to stay embedded and then the drop will be even faster and I'll just scale into more positions. But again, just sideways. Everything's sideways at the minute. Or we are grinding and Euro Swiss is a grinder. So at the moment, Euro Swiss, obviously, this is the biggest move we've had on the Euro Swiss for some time, as you can see. So this thing's just, I've been looking for opportunities to get into this thing short for such a long time before Christmas, and I've taken lots of shorts on it and made some really good money out of it off the 24 bounces and basically whenever we got any kind of extension to the upside. Sod's Law, the first one I get into in the new year, is the one that decides to push up to the 72. So we're looking at this sort of move at the moment. After coming out of such a big downtrend, there is a possibility that they'll want to power up a little bit. But this is this is Swiss franc weakness at the moment. All the Swissies basically are doing the same thing. You can see the Swiss franc against the yen is coming down, which is Swissy weakness. Everything else against the Swissy is pushing. So this is Swiss franc weakness, absolutely exhausted. Up to the 72. The 72 is going to be the next level where we are going to get some exhaustion. From a profit take perspective, this thing hasn't rested. There's just nothing happened. You had a tiny little flaggy type thing in the middle there, but this thing has not stopped since we put that propulsion candle in off of this double bottom. So we're getting a profit take on this. Now, the profit take is either going to be an A-shaped recovery or we are going to get a continuation bounce. So either way, if you're scaling into this one and you're with me on this one, average I want to be keeping above this level, so that we can get out when we get down here. We got big propulsion gap there, big propulsion gap there, and we're starting to fall over at the top, up at the 72. So this is looking awesome. Absolutely exhausted. As soon as the Swiss franc powers up and gets any sign of strength, we've just got an hourly reversal alert this morning, which is probably the first one we've had for, yeah, this is the first hourly reversal alert we've had literally since the move started. So that is the first one. It's just retesting at the moment, although it's the first candle after the reversal that's retesting, but looks really good for shorts. So you can see obviously this area here of consolidation is the area of interest for a potential continuation bounce. So just playing short down to somewhere around there. If this gets back into profit, I will start to take profit on these positions and then just do some partial drawdown control. So I'll take a 0.1 off of that and a 0.01 off of that, and then drop that one down to a 0.02, and then just obviously bank all the profit on that lot when we get somewhere around here. But obviously there is still the possibility of the A-shaped recovery on this one. So just pushing up and just basically banging straight down. This is the euro. The euro is weak, as we can see across the board. Yeah, I'm in that one, holding it. We'll see what happens. So that brings me nicely onto news. Today we've got Lagarde speaking. So just be aware of this morning. With all talking head news, whenever you get a talking head, it's basically something might happen. Same with Powell this afternoon. Something might happen. So what you tend to find is most of the time there's nothing, but quite often we will get a little bit of a volatility spike, but they may well drop a bomb. She might come out and say something that is akin to, we are just going to do this, which is going to power up the euro, and all of a sudden it flies. So when you see these types of movements in the market, where there's no real expected reason for it, you can quite often find there's some fundamental shift that some people know about, i.e. people, banks, big liquidity providers know about, that we haven't got wind of yet. So it may be that there is something starting to power up the euro, because things like the euro US dollar has gone sideways. The euro US dollar is typically inverse of the Dixie. The Dixie's been sideways for quite a while, as you can see, and the euro US dollar is obviously the inverse of that, and it's starting to grind up. So difficult to tell what's going to happen with the euro, but keep an eye on the news this morning. 10 o'clock, 10:20 this morning, Lagarde speaking. Sorry, someone's just said something in chat. I can't pronounce your name, and I have no idea what VOM RED means. So might have to elaborate on that one if that's a question. Okay, so that's where I am positioned at the moment. News overnight, nothing happened. So obviously we've got no overnight news. Nothing's happened news-wise that is going to affect anything. Rate rises 2022 are very improbable from the ECB. So, this is what I mean by talking heads coming out. There's no expected rises for rates from the ECB up until the end of the year. If, for example, Lagarde came out this morning or on Friday and said, actually, we're going to change our mind on that, that is the type of news that is going to move the euro. So keep an eye on that one. So let's have a look at where we are market-wise at the moment. ADRs will start. Nothing. Flat session. So if we look at the session for Asia, fairly flat. London's just starting to poke its head out on Euro US. But even the Aussies have been fairly undecided on direction this morning. So nice accumulation. This broker candle, again, when you're looking at ADRs, when you get an ADR hit, if you've got the ADR dash, when you get an ADR hit, I would always recommend you have a look at the chart before you do anything, obviously, and see what's happened with broker candles, because you get these broker candles now where they're putting in spreads of 22 pips. So really what you want to do is take the candle after the opening 15-minute range and look at that, and then measure from there. So this is 62, which would be up to here. So that's really where ADR high is today. Only if you see a massive broker candle like this going in. A gap on a Friday, Monday crossover is fine. But when you get these overnights, this is just the broker manipulating and taking money from spreads. So just be aware of those. But there's nothing on ADR today. Swiss yen has hit its weekly range already. So this one, obviously, we had that massive yen boost coupled with the Swiss franc weakness at the same time, which obviously caused this massive drop on the Swiss yen, the perfect storm of one currency powering up at the same time as another currency weakening. So we've already hit basically our normal weekly range on this. So this is looking really good for reversals. Obviously, we've had the reversal alert on M15. And it's pulling up very nicely. Whenever you see a catastrophic move like this, and these are the ones I love to see on all time frames, really, big, strong movement. The market obviously goes into sell cycles and buy cycles and sell cycles and buy cycles, and that's basically how it moves. When you get a massive move like this, where there literally has been no profit take move whatsoever, everybody that's hit the sell button there has got to escape those positions, and to do that they've got to hit the buy button, and that is where the profit take move starts. Profit takes will go up to support and resistance, or they will tend to retrace a percentage, usually a fib level of the initial move. Look for gaps in the market where there's been a lot of volume coming in one direction where it's likely to bounce from. So when you get these moves and you get a reversal alert, they're brilliant entries. Take them back up to either 50%, or if you're feeling aggressive, up to support resistance levels. But that one's already played out this morning. Probably wouldn't have seen that one because it happened in the middle of the Asian session. But really, really good. Lovely extension. I'm going to do some testing actually with the EA. Something I have not tested with the EA from a position trading perspective yet is M15. Any M15 only single time frame strategies based on big RSI extensions. And I'm not talking your 25s and your 20s, but these sorts of 10s and 15s and scalp trades off of those. So looking at grabbing a quarter of an ADR to maybe a half of an ADR when we've got to these massive extensions. Because when you get these strong moves, the market has got to retrace them to make a profit. So it doesn't have to come all the way, obviously, but you've got to go some way because all these guys have got to take a profit, which starts the buying frenzy. So I'm going to do a bit of testing on that. I've never tested it, and it would obviously be a scalping strategy to use, probably on lower time frames as well, M5, but you're going to get more signals on M5, which obviously means less reliability. But M15, these ones, if you're looking for sort of half an ADR, in this case 45 pips, it's nowhere near, is it? I mean, there's plenty of room on it. So good opportunity, that one, but you've missed it. But that was a weekly range as well. So it's starting a pullback, but just because it's hit its weekly range does not mean it's going to do that. It means it's hit its average weekly range, nothing more. Could well just sit there and consolidate now for the rest of the week. So, but nothing on ADR. Richard, New York might be good to know where will the price moves. New York might be a good know where will the price moves. Don't quite understand what you mean there. Elaborate if you can. Okay, so ADR's nothing. 4 hours. Look at the Euro Swiss. This is, those of you who've been in the live room for a while, this level is rare, very rare on the 4 hour. This level is rare. This is very rare. Think of it like people piling in one direction and not taking any profit. If we can get to the 85 level, it means we've had a sustained strong move. Euro Swiss, I'm obviously already in it. When we're talking aggressive drawdown control, these are the times when I like to do it. If you're in a position and you're too deep on it, I mean, I'm not too deep on Euro Swiss. I'm only 2% in. It's not a massive issue. But if I was deeper and I really wanted to get out, or if my entire portfolio was underwater 15% or something, then I would be doing aggressive drawdown control when we hit these levels. And when we hit these levels, it's rare that we go any further. If you go back historically, you can see the 80-20s are the ones I have on the chart. Where we tend to get bigger extensions than that, you don't tend to often get these any further push. You can go into consolidation, but normally what you would do is at least get a pullback if we have got a fundamental shift that's taken it this strong. And obviously in this case, it's the Swissy weakness. So here is where I'd be looking to get in, obviously for a push down. If you're not in any positions on Euro Swiss at the moment, today's the day. We've had a reversal alert on it, which has retested. We're sitting at the moment in London consolidation, but this thing just put a beautiful bearish engulfing in London. Look. So yeah, lovely looking opportunity for a short. How far this is going to go, don't know, but it's the euro. And like I say, the euro is very, very weak. And the only reason we've done this is because of the Swiss franc weakness, which is not going to last. Swissy doesn't stay weak forever. It will get powered up. They will start piling money into it. So looking massively bearish across multiple time frames at the moment, Euro Swiss. CAD Swiss. Just taken my first position on that one yesterday. So I've got two positions on that now. Again, we've just done a liquidity run of the Asian high. So we've pushed up in London to the Asian highs, rejected, reversal alert. So look for some kind of, get in now if you want to. I've just got in again. Nice drop on this one. Massively extended on the 4 hour. Really good opportunity for a short. If this is going to continue up and we are going to see any continued Swiss franc weakness, we're just going to do an embedded move up there. But you know, when you get up to these levels, these really extended levels, it's not often you get embedding on the 4 hour chart. To get to those levels on the 4 hour chart has got to be a sustained strong rally from the buyers or the sellers. By the time you get there, these guys will have to start hitting the sell button to get out of their positions. As soon as they start hitting the sell button, we all notice it, retail crowd, we also piling along with them, which just makes that self-fulfilling prophecy snowball effect kick in. And then you look for levels where potentially we're going to bounce back out of. So any areas of sort of small consolidation. But it's got loads of room to the downside. And the other thing about this one, obviously, is it's not exact. You know, it is never an exact level, support and resistance. But we're pretty much up there. If this is going to continue and wants to put in a W formation like that, it's got plenty of room at the moment to pop up to this level. And then if it gets through that level, this is where the sell move started. And if anybody that entered here, a long-term investment, hasn't got out of their positions down here, they will be defending that area like hell. So massively bearish at the moment. So yeah, CAD Swiss looking really, really good. Again, 80%. If you want to get into the safest possible mean reversion trades, you're going to have to be patient. But if you just take the 80-20s, you virtually be in with one or two positions only at a time. You just have to be patient, obviously, because they don't come around as often. But yeah, really, really good looking level on that one as well. Aussie dollar Swiss has just bounced off this high as well. So we just about got extended, only just, but that one's already put in a bearish engulfing. But if you want to hold, this has got a lot of downside on it. We're in a downtrend. We're in the 2472 area, which is a beautiful area to sell out of at any time. So looking good for shorts. Again, all of these are based on Swiss franc weakness. And, you know, the Swiss franc is very powerful, weak, powerful, weak, powerful, weak. But when it powers up in one direction or the other, it's very strong and it will tend to kick all other currencies into touch. So the move's already started on this one. Beautiful M pattern. So you've had a reversal alert and the retest out of there. So M pattern formation, drop. CAD Swiss we've covered. Swiss yen. This is a really hard one to call. With that power up we had on the yen along with the US dollar, Hopefully you can hear me okay. That grinding in the background. Not sure how much the mic's picking up, but hopefully you can hear me over that noise. Swiss yen is a very difficult one to call at the moment. I'm struggling on directional bias personally for the yen, which is why I'm kind of staying out. I've got no yen exposure on at all at the moment, because I don't know really what the yen is going to do, and I'm unsure as well as obviously what the US dollar is going to do at the moment, because the Dixie's just in this horrible choppy consolidation. So the Swiss yen obviously has been a real loser, basically, off of the Swiss franc weakness and the yen strength at the same time. So we have had a lovely bounce here down at these lows. So potentially this has got a nice pullback on it, but whether or not this reversal alert here is going to hold and we're going to get a retest drop, or whether we're going to continue in the breakout direction for the trend and this is just the pullback for the next push, very, very difficult to tell. I'm probably more bullish on it than bearish right now, but long term I'm not really sure. So if it had come down to this level here, I'll just enlarge the chart a little bit. So somewhere in this region here, I'd have been, bullish, really bullish. That's a lovely bullish rejection. But the fact that it's come off of no real level, if you put a sort of a horizontal line where the reversal happened and look to the left, which is always a good thing to do, you need a reason for a bounce. There is this little kind of double bottom put in there, but to the left it's just an area of chop, which is, all of this is an area of chop that it's been resistive in the past, and has also turned into support. So it's kind of a weird level to turn, but saying that, massive bullish price action. So it's a difficult one. It is extended quite nicely up to 70, but obviously you've already missed the trade. So if you're not in it, you would have had to wait for a retest, and you didn't get it, unfortunately. Didn't get back down to retest. Missed it by about a pip. But that is the next level I would be looking at. Previous day's low for a resistance level, which coincides nicely with that gap. We've got a nice big one there as well. So any kind of pullbacks on that this morning, if you wanted to, you could look for short-term trades on lower time frames like M5, for example. So look for pullbacks. We've had a reversal alert there. Just look for continuation pullbacks, really. But difficult one, that one. Euro Swiss we've covered. How's it doing now? Yeah, still sitting in London. It's not collapsing, but give it time. Pound Swiss, same thing as Euro Swiss. As I say, if you're going to take a euro trade and a pound trade together, just be very wary, because they do tend to move at the same, not exactly the same. It's a bit like the NAS and the S&P. They move roughly together, but not quite. So if you're on Euro Swiss, Pound Swiss is obviously a very similar setup. We've got lovely doji going in at the moment. This is the one that I've been less convinced about, purely because of the nice orderly grind we've had. It's been very nicely traded up to there until yesterday and the day before, where we had this big explosive move. So we've now reached this area of support and resistance, supply and demand, whatever you want to call it there. Okay, and we're putting in a doji. So looks to me like this is potentially where this selling pressure from this initial start of the move is kicking in. So we should at least get the start of a pullback from there. So looking at lower time frames on this one, you probably not had one yet on M15, M5 you haven't either, because of this big move out of the Asian highs. So break below here today, we should start to see the signs of weakness coming in. Obviously could well just be an elevator shaft and come back down, but we'll see. But yeah, very, very nicely extended on the 4 hour. Pound New Zealand, take up a first position on this one. Nicely embedded. I do like to see embedded. RSIs when we go into a consolidation, because one of two things is going to happen. It's either the right time to get in and you're going to get out, or it's going to push up and get even more extended, in which case there'll be even more pressure to sell because these buyers won't have got out of their positions and they will be desperate to get out at some point. So very nicely extended up there. From a levels perspective on this one, we have just broken out of these highs. We have not broken out convincingly. So this is a kind of breakout which is kind of holding at the moment. But we've been sitting there for 2 days now, and the buyers have tried to push through and haven't managed to. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this one. If this does start to take off from here, there is potential that this is going to be a continuation of this uptrend, in which case then targets to the downside will be the 24. So we will be scaling in, looking for a pullback to the 24. So keeping average above the 24 will allow you to get out when it gets there. But there's a lot of pressure gone into this one, a lot of gaps are created on this move up that the market will want to trade back into. So we'll see. But equally, obviously, this could be just a fail and drop. Again, we don't know. This is the thing. At the moment, the cop bias and everything is just all down. So there's no real clear directional bias on anything, which makes it a little bit more tricky from an analysis perspective. But just going on technicals, obviously, we're at a crucial point. So it's either going to drop or it's going to pop. But the fact that it's had such a strong move, I'll be looking for shorts in the short term on that one. Couple of new ones. New Zealand dollar CAD, beautiful bounce off of the double bottom. Just adjust that fib now down to there. So we have just kind of broken back up and we are retesting at the moment. So reversal alert on the 4 hours too far away, but be looking to come back up to this level. This is obviously where we started the initial move down, consolidated and broke to the downside. So this would be the obvious place to act as resistance if we're going to continue the downtrend. If not, by that time the 24 should be down on top of you, and if that doesn't hold, the 72, if one of those will hold and obviously give the pullback, which is what we're looking for an exit. So if you're longing it, you've got just as much chance of anything on that one. So we've had the reversal alert and the retest. Nothing convincing happened so far today in the Asian session for New Zealand. And obviously there's no CAD news this week. So we may well see we just go into a horrible grindy mess down here. But that's the initial area. I would be looking at the 38 retracement for longs if you're already on it. But it's not very extended. Just got a little bit tired. Now, it was extended, obviously. New Zealand dollar Swiss, same thing as the other Swissies. We've had the big push. This one hasn't pushed as hard, so you can see how weak the New Zealand dollar is. It couldn't take advantage of that Swiss franc weakness at all. It's pushed up, but compare that to the other currencies against the Swissy. You can see how weak the New Zealand dollar is at the moment. We're stuck in a consolidation. There's two types of plays you can play off of moving averages. Either the moving average pullback or the moving average catch up. This is moving average catch up, as I call it. So where you have price pushed down away from the moving averages, consolidate, and the moving averages come down on top of price, which then will continue to push it down. A moving average pullback is where price pushes away and pulls back up into the moving average and then continues down. So that sort of thing is a moving average pullback. At the moment, moving averages are just caught up in a consolidation. So what you tend to find is if price is going to push higher, it will want to pull back before it does that, market structure. So this is why the 24 and the 72 bounces work so well. So if the first one doesn't hold, the second one, when it gets there, is so exhausted by that time it has to do the pullback. So if we're scaling in to positions, that's how we get out of them. So that one obviously is extended to the upside at the 24. So if it's going to be a continuation move to the downside, obviously this is a good place to start getting into it, but not massively extended. There's way more stuff that is way more extended that is more likely to reverse and mean revert at the moment. So US dollar Swiss, horrible mess. I don't know what's going on with the US dollar Swiss at the minute. The US dollar, I don't know what's going on with it at the minute. It's just in a mess. So US dollar and the yen, until I've got some clear indication, I'm going to be bullish on it just based on COT. In which case I should really be a little bit more bullish on the yen based on COT as well. But there's nothing at the minute. It's impossible to tell what the US dollar is going to do. So at the moment, with all US dollar pairs, I would be looking for longs and playing them out of the bottom of this range on the Dixie. Is really all you can do. So shorting everything against US dollar and long in the US dollar. So US dollar Swiss from a 4-hour perspective is massively extended to the upside, so not really one that I would potentially want to take. It is rolling over very nicely at the moment. Haven't had a reversal alert on M15. M5 we have. So we're up at a nice area here. So this is a really nice support resistance area. Previous rejected again there, rejecting again. So looks like a good short. Where it's going to go and how far it's going to go is dependent on whether or not the US dollar powers up. So there is every potential for it just to do that and continue market structure. There's also every potential for it to drop back down to these lows. It's difficult to tell with the US dollar at the minute. It's very very difficult to analyze because it's just got no directional bias whatsoever. So but it is extended, and everything that gets extended generally tends to mean revert. So right, so that's it on those. S&P, obviously, we've covered a little bit of detail this morning. Obviously, beautiful 72 bounce on the S&P yesterday. NAS, we had obviously the bounce. It looks like it wants to continue to me back up to the upside. So I'm leaving the positions I've got on, and I will be scaling out of those as we move up. Hourlies, not a lot. CAD Swiss on the hourly, if you're trading hourly, and M5. Very, very nicely extended. Obviously, I'm in this one already. So, nicely extended and embedded on the hourly. We will get some kind of pullback on it. It's been such a long way this has gone. We've moved now 4 ADR, basically, pretty much, without a profit take move. So there's a profit take move coming. Where it's going to get back to is difficult on the hourly. But you've got a few areas of consolidation. That area there we got a bit stuck. We definitely got stuck there. So looking at that will be somewhere around about the 50% retracement on the fib on that move. So but as you can see, there's no gaps on the hourly. That one was the only one formed, and that was filled immediately. So somewhere around there is where I would look to go. 175 ADR. If the Swissy wants to go, the 175 ADR level is perfectly achievable for the Swiss franc. So we'll see. But yes, nice short. Only just extended on the hourly, but that's only because we've been embedded for 2 days on it. So at some point, this thing's going to come down. Euro Swiss, obviously, is never not embedded on any time frame. We've just had a reversal alert on this one, as I said earlier on. So just got the alert, which shows how strong this thing still is, or how weak the Swissy still is. But 10:20 this morning, Lagarde. Hopefully something gets said that is negative euro, in which case then we will hopefully get some kind of drop. I'm not looking for a massive move on this. I'm just going to put my target down here. So for these 3 positions, I'm just going to get out here, and then I will use the profit from those just to do a little bit of drawdown on these 3 down at the bottom there. And then I can't foresee, obviously, euro continuing to strengthen, and the Swissy will not. The Swissy never goes in one direction forever. It always powers up. It's always having money pumped in and out of it. So all we need is a little bit of euro skepticism and a bit of Swissy strength, and this thing's coming down. I think this is going to continue to the downside, to be honest. But we have had such a massive downtrend. There's every possibility we will try and pull back up into these areas. But to do that, it needs strength. To get strength, it needs orders. To get orders, it's going to need to pull back to find them to power itself up. So either way, we're going to get a drop at some point soon. Can't go up forever. And pound Swiss on the hourly, same thing. Lovely doji going in. Same thing that was being painted on the 4 hour. That doji there on the hour. You can see obviously the hammer to the high, so shooting star rather. Haven't had a reverse alert on it yet there, but obviously it's looking heavy. So as soon as we get some kind of reversal alert on this, I think that momentum will be confirmed, so the market structure will potentially do that. So looking good. Lots of good opportunities this morning. Anybody got any questions on any of that or anything in particular? I'm just going to quickly cover crypto. I don't trade it, but I just wanted to point something out for you because I know everybody's crypto mad. Ethereum is on I think 17% drop week on week, and Bitcoin is on a 9 or 10% drop week on week. Obviously these things I don't trade crypto just because I don't fully understand the driving force behind the instruments. Therefore, if I don't understand the fundamentals, I'm not really that interested. I am holding Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I'm not actively trading it. But Ethereum, we've got this big propulsion move here. So the pullback that we had to here, this area of consolidation is exactly where we are now. We've got this big buying area, propulsion on the daily, which we've tapped into. So this is in a really nice area, and also on the 200 moving average, which has been respected twice. Obviously, moving averages on this, there's not enough history to go on, because obviously this only started moving in 2021 in April. So we haven't got enough history to look at it objectively, but the 200 is where we are, and the 200 has held twice previously. So it's in a good spot to buy from, and we've had a big, strong move down. And look at the wicks on the daily. We've got 50% rejection wicks or thereabouts for 3 days running, showing that we've had a load of sellers coming in, and now there's buying pressure starting, which is what these rejection wicks are. So first bullish candle on this is potentially going to be the start of that kind of move to the upside. Not knowing anything about the driving force of it, and not really wanting to know anything about the driving force of it, because I'm not really interested in crypto at the minute. From a technical perspective, Ethereum is looking really, really good. Bitcoin is looking even better. We've got an exact double bottom at an area of previous support and resistance. Yeah, this one's crashed through the 200, but it's also crashed through the 200 a couple of times before. So just if any of you are crypto traders, obviously this area here is a massive area of interest from previous, and we've got, again, the same thing as Ethereum. We've got 50% wick, more than a 50% wick. This is putting a hammer here at an area of support. But, you know, at the moment, it's kind of at the bottom of a range, so it's where I would look to buy from. Where it's going, I've no idea. But just wanted to point that out because I was in my PayPal account this morning, and I just happened to flick onto their crypto tab, because you can now buy and hold crypto in your PayPal accounts, if you didn't know that. And I just saw the weekly chart in front of me, and I was like, wow, that looks good from a technical perspective. So I thought I'd point it out. So if any of you are looking to buy and hold as an investment on crypto, these guys are looking like they're pretty nicely teed up for a push potentially. So, but lower time frames, there's a beautiful 3-bar reversal just going on Ethereum. Just looking bullish. So reversal alerts on these on the higher time frames like H4 obviously will tend to be fairly strong. It's really nice structure on these, but at any moment they tend to go a bit crazy, and obviously the volatility on them, you've got to get in so super small. I prefer vehicles I'm used to and have traded for a decade and understand. But anyway, so I thought I'd point those out for any of you crypto nuts out there. How about pound US dollar? So pound US dollar, obviously we're expecting some US dollar strength to come through. Pound has just broken through this potential support resistance here, and we're up in this gap here. But I think I said earlier in the week, it's only Tuesday, isn't it? Must have been yesterday. This has already been retested, this gap here. Has already been retested. So potentially I'd class that as kind of traded already. Anybody that got into their positions there is probably out. So therefore this isn't probably a good selling area. This area up here, however, has not been tested yet. So it may be that we're heading up to there. That would require US dollar weakness. And we've got a lot of US dollar news this week. So the whole week is basically focused on US dollar news. So we will see some volatility on the US dollar this week. It's been very orderly on its grind up at the moment, but the pound is a short, the US dollar is a long, so I would only ever be looking to short it. We've got no extensions though on RSIs, so not really something that I'm looking to get into at the moment. I mean reversion trade, so I'm looking for exhaustion and then reversals from the reversal alert indicator to get me into positions. I'm using the same gap filter, WRB hidden gap, but it is showing only latest gaps, not previous filled. You need to extend the time on the indicator. So start your calculations from, yours will be set to 100. So just set it to a bigger number and it will go back further. Atto Cock, I can't pronounce your name, sorry, I don't even understand what those characters are. I don't know what Vorngo is either. I'm guessing you guys are Russian or somewhere like that. We keep the chat in English, otherwise I really just can't understand it. So, unless somebody can translate for me. Right, so that's all I've got for you for this morning. So I'm not looking to get into any more positions. I'm just managing the portfolio that I have at the moment. So positions-wise, I've got nothing extended that is worrying me at the moment. I've got some more bank I can do today. So S&P, let's have a quick look at what's moving. Looks like we are getting a continuation push. Yeah, we got a continuation push happening on S&P and NAS this morning. So I'm going to monitor these two basically this morning. Obviously, I'll be monitoring all my positions, but I'm not looking to get into anything else. I've got Aussie on, I've got CAD, I'm fully exposed, Swiss, I'm fully exposed, Euro, I'm fully exposed, New Zealand, I'm fully exposed, and Pound, I've got one on as well. I've got no US dollar on and no yen on because they are not really giving me any indications of directional bias at the minute, so I'm not really trading those guys. So I will see what happens for the rest of the day. But anything else you've got that you need questions answered or anything coming to the Telegram group? I'm always in the Telegram group. So ask away in there. Any questions on indicators that I use or anything, feel free to ask. Other than that, if there's no questions, I will be back at 2 o'clock this afternoon, ready for the London session. And we'll see where we are with the indices. But indices, hopefully, during the London session, we'll get a continuation push on these back up into this consolidation period. And if we can get these lows here broken and held, today. Somewhere up here, break and hold. It's a good potential for a New York push this afternoon. So let's see if we can get London to give us a rally. Rahat, thanks. Gap filter worked. I noticed you mostly doing manual trades by placing limit order, even sometime not wait for a reversal alert. With the with NAS and S&P, yeah, I use both basically with NAS and S&P. I've got the EA running constantly on the NAS and S&P, so can't really see that. Where's it gone? So with the NAS and S&P, I've got the EA continuously running, taking longs for me. So reversal alerts, you can see there, this little arrow, that was a trade. So the EA is always getting me into positions on those. The EA is running on all pairs that I enter. So my initial entry is either with the EA or I do an initial manual entry and then I put the EA on the pair like the CAD Swiss, yeah? So I took a CAD Swiss trade yesterday, somewhere in there, don't know. And then it pushed up against me towards the end of New York. So I stuck the EA on it last night. And then let the EA take additional positions. And as you can see, that reversal alert there, the EA has just taken another position for me. So I basically enter on a reversal alert manually a lot of the time. And then I let the EA scale in for me if necessary. Obviously, if I need to take additional positions, then I'll let the EA do that for me. This is what I always have preached with my EA. A lot of people want an EA that you can stick on a chart on all the pairs, go and sit on a beach, drink a Mai Tai, and it'll make you money endlessly. That does not exist. You've got to trade. If you want to do this as a living, you need to manually trade. You need to understand the markets, how they work. You need to look at price action. You need to spend thousands of hours in front of charts to build muscle memory, and you need to place the trades yourself. Nothing wrong with putting an EA on that will automate getting into additional positions if you're position trading for you while you're asleep or while you're not watching the charts. But you can't rely on an EA to do everything for you. The EA doesn't watch the news. The EA doesn't know Lagarde speaking at 10:20 this morning. And if it did know and it had a news filter, it wouldn't know what type of news it is. So if this euro crashes, this morning, and gets down to here, the EA doesn't know what I want to do. Personally, what I want to do is exit these three positions and then do drawdown control on the positions below. The EA doesn't know that, but the EA will help me 80% automate the way that I trade, and that's what it's for. But I also set limit orders. Not with Forex pairs, typically with S&P and NAS I tend to set limits because these guys bounce, as you can see, they bounce at limits, right? So if today we're going to get a double bottom, I want to be in. I don't want to be in after a reversal alert down there. Yeah, so that's why I set that one. But obviously the EA will be scaling me in as well. So that makes sense. Limit orders are a lot more dangerous. Limit orders are a lot more dangerous because obviously if you place a limit order anywhere on a chart, like here, there's a chance that price is just going to do that and collapse through it. So, it's like catching a falling knife, a limit order. Whereas a stop order above is waiting for price to propel in your direction. So stop orders are a lot safer. That's what the market reversal alert indicator and EA does, or rather the EA does. It's waiting for that push before it gets you in. But equally, use both types of orders. And again, this is where the comfort level of you as a trader, your experience and everything comes into it. I use limit orders because I'm fairly confident at specific levels that we're going to get some price bounce. So I'd like to have an order there. If you want to wait for a reversal alert at that level, do that. It's a safer way, much, much safer. But it depends how aggressive you are as a trader. And I'm fairly aggressive. But that only comes with experience and time. You just have to put the hours in. Again, going back to the analogy of lawyers and doctors, these guys train for 5 or 10 years to become what they are. You have to do it in Forex. You're not suddenly become a consistently overnight profitable Forex trader because you've read a PDF, watched a couple of videos. takes years in front of charts to get to that level. You know, you're not going to become and again, you've got to practice it as well. If you train to become a surgeon for 7-10 years or however long it takes, they don't just then go, oh excellent, you've got your certificate, here's a head, go and open it up and operate on the brain. Yeah, you watch other people, you practice on simulators. You know, it's the same thing. Do you take the MA cross on consolidation at all, as in 24 crossing below the 72? No. Moving average crossovers are miles behind. Yeah. So moving average crossover, like here, didn't work. Moving average crossover there didn't work. Yeah. Moving average crossover there worked beautifully. But you missed all of that. Yeah, moving average crossovers tell you what has happened. I can see what's happened. It's gone down. I don't need a moving average to tell me that the market's going down. A crossover tells me the market's going down. If I took the chart off here, I could tell you exactly where price is, what it's doing, because you can see. If you see, by the time the moving average is crossed, price has already dropped. Yeah. So moving average crossovers are a strategy a lot of new traders try, and they can work on very small time frames, but you need to use a very small moving average with a very large moving average, really. Just not, you know, I can make it work, but the moving averages that I use are designed to show me what price is doing very simply and easily. I can tell price is going up here because it's green. I can tell price is going down there because it's green. So at a glance, it trains your eye to know bias, directional bias. But these guys are more for mean reversion pullback levels than anything else. Yeah. So when we pull back to these levels, we tend to get a reaction. Yeah, that's what I use them for. And that coupled with the reversal alert indicator is obviously what you're looking for. So when you come into Euro-Odd, for example, and price pulls back into here, into there, you would drop down onto a lower time frame and look for a reversal alert in the expected direction. RSI extended, drop down to a lower time frame and look for a reversal alert in the opposite direction. Any update on the Renko strategy? No, I haven't had time. I know what I want to do with it. I haven't had time, unfortunately. The trouble is, I'm trading. I'm in the live room for 3-4 hours a day. So it doesn't leave me a lot of time for anything else at the moment. But yeah, I'm getting there with it. I know what I want to do with it. I've found the indicators I want to use. I haven't found an indicator that does exactly what I want, unfortunately. But I think I could probably cobble it together with what I've got. So I'll update you on that as and when. But I need to get it finalised first. Waiting for any new update. I have your indicator. There's no new updates planned on the indicator. The indicator does what I need it to do. I don't have any plans to update. The EA, I'm going to do an update on it because everybody's been asking for one specific feature. A lot of people have, not everybody, which is trading level. So people want to enter a level and say when price has moved above there, start to trade. So that I'm going to basically work out how to do. But apart from that, there's no updates planned. Yes, you're right. You need years. Yes, definitely. What's the best way to update MT4 or downgrade to an older version? I mean, I don't know, really. check for updates, really. Why would you need to change version? Not quite sure why you would need to do anything with it. You want to be on the latest version of MT4, really. MT4 isn't updated very much. MT5, if you've got it, is updated automatically for you. You don't have a choice. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Google is your friend. I get asked an awful lot of questions in the Telegram group where I go and Google them to find out the answers for people, and I really don't understand why people don't use Google. It's the first thing I do. If I've got a question or I don't know anything at all, first thing I do is just go to Google and type it in and find out what the answer is. I wouldn't dream of asking anybody else, but I guess that's just me. I like to go out and solve my own problems. But I'm not being nasty or anything. I'm just saying, just brought to my attention because I got asked a question yesterday and it was so obviously easy to find out the answer by just typing it into Google. And I was like, what in your brain thought, I'm going to ask someone else a question and get them to go and Google it for me? But anyway, can you show your current Renko indicator in the group? Well, there's not a current Renko indicator. They all do the same thing, really. Go and Google and find one. The Renko indicators all do the same thing. They draw the Renko bars on the chart. There's a few variations of them, but at the end of the day, a Renko is blocks. Yeah, based on pip value. Yeah, and they all do this. They all do that. Yeah, it's a Renko chart going up and down, down and up. The thing that I've been working on is the pip value for the Renko chart to smooth the market out to an extent that makes it work well. And obviously Renko patterns obviously are pretty much the same as normal price action patterns. If the market does that, what's that? W. Yeah, and then if it does that, it's a confirmation. That's a reverse alert. Yeah, so they all do the same thing. So just go and find a decent Renko one. But they all have to be offline charts because Renko, MT4 can't chart Renko, MT5 can't chart Renko properly yet. NinjaTrader can. NinjaTrader has Renko built in, which is partly what I'm looking to use it for my futures account. So I've got a 100k futures account sitting dormant at the moment, which I want to start doing intraday Renko trading on. But I'll update you on that as and when, and what indicators are good. But what I'm looking for with Renko is an indicator that will do 1%. And we will do percentage bricks. They all do pips, basically. So they all work off of pips, or they work off of an ATR figure. But the problem with ATR, using ATR, is it will repaint a lot. Because as ADR changes, every time you open your chart, it will repaint the bricks. So for backtesting, it's impossible to backtest with ATR. You can only backtest with fixed, but percentage is obviously one other thing that I'm looking at as well, which is what I want to use. I want to use 0.5% or 0.25% move Renko. But I'm thinking of potentially using ADR, but just using ADR and updating it once a week. So looking at where we are on a Monday, I will use 60 roughly on Aussie dollar CAD. And go up in increments of 5 or 10. So if it fluctuates from 60 to 64, I'll just leave it at 60. When it gets to 65, maybe then update it to 65. But you'll find that these figures do not update that often. You'll quite often find that the ADR of a pair will be within 1 or 2% for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But eventually it will massively, like Pound New Zealand, for example. I was trading Pound New Zealand a couple of years ago at over 300 ADR. You're going to have a completely different result, obviously, aren't you? So if you're changing the Renko brick size. So, but I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. Put it that way. But I'll let you know everything when I've got something done. But as I say, it's a time thing. I struggle with time. S&P, we are just taking yesterday's high at the moment. So just be aware we are potentially taking liquidity from yesterday's high. Nasdaq, we have broken and held above. So all getting close. I will start getting some profit takes on this if we get a bit more of a push today. S&P's already in profit. How much have I got on that? 0.5%. Do I want to take 0.5%? I've got the NAS running. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bank that, put it back on. And I'm just going to protect that one. If we do get pushed down, I'm just going to get out of that one. Got two positions way too close together. So just banked 0.8%. And if we get pullback, I'll get in again. So, which would be lovely. If we get a pullback, I'll get in again, which means I make that again. That's what it's all about. Get in, get out, get in, get out. Make this green, make this less red. Use this to pay that off if it's going wrong. Job done. It's easy, isn't it? Right, okay, I'll leave it there today, guys. If you've got any questions, as I say, come into the Telegram group. I'm always in there, and I'll be back on again 2 o'clock this afternoon ahead of the New York session. Good luck this morning, and hopefully see you this afternoon.